Good evening, David.
Good evening, Barbara.
It is 6:45 and it is 16 September, Wednesday night. Today we had an eventful day. What did you do this morning? Tell me.
Well, this morning I got up. And then, having got up, I decided I would go in the bathroom and do my usual ablutions. And I would get ready. And guess what?
What?
All the time this was happening, there was silence from the bedroom. Someone was still sleeping, as usual.
Yes.
Anyway, eventually, I did happen to hear sounds from the bedroom, and a sleepy person emerged. And then, in due course, of course, we were allowed to have breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when I say allowed, that means I let my wife think that she was actually running the event by controlling the time, but in reality, I had all this planned out in advance, and I knew exactly what time we would eat.
All right.
And then after that, of course, being a dutiful husband, I helped wash the dishes, as well as prepare the breakfast. And then, of course, we went downtown. Now, this was an error. We actually went down just to get one thing. Well, actually, we went down to get two things. But in the event, what happened was, my wife started shopping. So what should have actually taken, including the ride there and back, about an hour and a half, ended up taking about 4 hours.
Uh-huh.
Now, this is not unusual. The good news is that we were successful, and with a bit of luck, I think we may have done most of our shopping for this grand tour.
Uh, did you think you spent too much money today?
I was actually prepared to spend some money today, and I was not my usual cheap self, no.
Okay.
I even encouraged my wife to buy the larger version of the cream that she was looking for.
Yes, I was very surprised.
Yeah, she was quite surprised, so I thought, why be cheap? I will not be cheap for once.
Okay. Now, I did notice that in the afternoon when we came home, you were trying to read, but you were interrupted quite often, weren't you?
Yeah, this is quite true, actually. But this is a normal event, and I'm sort of used to it. So I'm very, very used to reading one or maybe even two or three paragraphs several times. In fact, I've been known to read a paragraph 12 times, thanks to some assistance from the outside by someone who, for some reason best known to herself, reads out loud.
But she wanted some answers from you, some
Apparently she
confirmation.
did, but
Yeah.
what I thought was commentary turned out to be rhetorical questions that weren't rhetorical questions, that actually did demand answers, and eventually we did end up on the same train of thought, and I answered her questions, and she
No.
did make use of my great knowledge.
Sir, you are so humble.
You're most welcome.
Now, I must ask you, did you learn something today, though? Because I remember the Armada.
Yes,
Tell me
actually,
about that.
I learned quite a bit about the Spanish Armada. That's when the Spaniards decided they wanted to take over England in the 1500s, and of course, as history has shown, they were not successful, and they were actually aided to some extent by the Dutch, who for a while blockaded part of the Spanish army and fleet, but not all the time.
Can you recall how many
Hang on, I'm going to
days?
scratch my nose.
Oh,
This is not a nose thing. My nose was actually itching, as it turns out.
that's all right. Did you recall? Do you recall how many days this war lasted?
No, actually I don't, but it did go on for quite a while. A couple of weeks, I think.
That's all? A couple of weeks?
Yeah.
And how many lives were lost? Do you remember
Altogether, I
that?
don't know, but at one stage I know at least 5,000. The total loss of life, I do not know. But I
And
do know the Spanish lost, I think, somewhere around about 50, 59 ships, and I think the English lost none.
and did you not tell me, sir, that the Black Irish were a group of people with a certain background?
Yeah, I actually did tell you that some of the Spanish ships went ashore in Ireland, and some of the Spanish stayed there, and they became later known as the Black Irish.
But sir, Spaniards aren't black.
No, but compared with the Irish, they are.
Oh, all right.
It's all relative, Barbara.
Hmm.
Anyway, just so this interview doesn't go on too much longer, I'd like to say that we went to Albert Heijn, did some shopping, came back, And then my wife cooks a delicious meal, which was shawarma mixed with vegetables. We ended it with ice cream. After that, we settled down. We looked at some photographs that we'd taken this afternoon. And then my wife decided to repeat this interview because the first one didn't come out too well. In fact, I ended up sideways on in the previous, whatever you want to call it, I've forgotten the name of it now, but the previous event anyway, it turned out that the movie showed me sideways on, and of course my wife turned the computer sideways to try and look at it, so it wasn't sideways on. So I think to conserve the battery and so on, we ought to actually end this interview now,
Oh,
and we can do another one later.
so can we look at it now then?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I'll just push this red
You
button.
push the red button and it will stop.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.
And David,
Yes,
I love you.
thank you.
Is that all you
I
can
love
say?
you too.
Oh, thank you.